There's a small metal handle hiding under almost every sink in America. Most people twist it once, feel it stick, and give up. What they don't know is that this one handle, worth less than a cup of coffee to fix, has saved some homeowners over $4,000 in emergency plumbing bills. And the strange part? Plumbers rarely explain how it actually works. Insurance companies rarely mention it either. It just sits there, quietly deciding whether your next leak will be a minor inconvenience or a full-blown disaster. This is Quick Secret. And today, you're about to discover the repair trick that most homeowners never learn. The one hiding in plain sight, in every wall, under every sink, behind every toilet in your home. By the end of this video, you'll never look at that little handle the same way again. But stay with me, because later in this video, you'll see how one ordinary family avoided a flooded basement using nothing but a wrench, a rag, and 4 minutes of their time. Experts who heard the story couldn't believe it was that simple. And near the end, I'll show you the single mistake that makes this entire trick backfire. The one that turns a 5-minute fix into a $5,000 disaster. So don't skip ahead. What you're about to learn could be the difference between a small drip and a ruined ceiling. Let's start with the truth nobody tells you. Every home has what's called a shutoff valve. It's the small handle that controls water flow to a sink, a toilet, a washing machine, sometimes even your refrigerator's ice maker line. And here's the part that shocks people. Most of these valves are never used. Not once, not in 10 years, not in 20. Homeowners move in, sign the paperwork, and never think about them again. They sit there, silent, untouched, slowly rusting shut from the inside, hidden behind cabinet doors and drywall, waiting for a moment they were never prepared for. And when disaster strikes, a burst pipe, a cracked hose, a flooding toilet at 2 in the morning, that's the exact moment homeowners run to that valve, twist it in panic, and it doesn't move. It's frozen, corroded, dead. In that moment, seconds matter, and the one tool designed to save the house has quietly failed years before anyone noticed. This single failure is responsible for a shocking number of the worst water damage claims filed every year. Not the leak itself, the valve that was supposed to stop it. Think about that for a moment. The actual crack in the pipe is often minor. It's the inability to shut off the water fast enough that turns a small problem into a 5-figure renovation. Here's the hidden truth plumbers don't advertise. A valve that's exercised regularly almost never fails. A valve that sits untouched for years becomes a ticking time bomb, and nobody hears it ticking until it's too late. The fix isn't complicated. It isn't expensive. It's a forgotten habit, one that used to be common knowledge and somehow disappeared from modern homeownership entirely. Because this isn't new information. Long before modern plumbing existed, ancient water systems relied on simple, rotating valves and stopcocks to control flow through aqueducts and cisterns. Roman engineers understood something we've forgotten. Any mechanism built to stop water must be moved regularly, or the water itself will seal it shut with mineral deposits and rust. It's the same principle behind old windmill gears, old barn door hinges, old lock mechanisms. Anything designed to turn needs to actually turn, or it fuses in place over time. The Romans didn't have plastic ball valves or modern seals, yet some of their water control systems outlasted empires, simply because they were maintained on a schedule. Modern homes buried that wisdom under drywall and convenience. We built beautiful, efficient pipes and forgot the simple maintenance ritual that kept them alive for generations. Somewhere between indoor plumbing becoming standard and homeowners no longer thinking about their pipes at all, this knowledge quietly vanished. Now let's make this dead simple, because you don't need an engineering degree to understand it. Think of your shutoff valve like a rusty gate hinge. If you swing that gate open and closed every week, it stays smooth, loose, reliable. If you leave it shut for 5 years, the hinge seizes. Force it, and it snaps clean off in your hand. Water valves work the same way. Minerals in your water, calcium, iron, sediment, settle into the tiny gap between the valve stem and its housing. Over months, that gap fills in, grain by grain. Over years, it hardens like cement, gluing the moving parts together in place. The valve isn't broken in the traditional sense. It's simply been buried alive by the very water it was built to control. Nothing dramatic happened, no sudden failure, just slow, invisible neglect, one mineral deposit at a time. That's the whole secret. No magic. No mystery chemical, no expensive gadget, just physics and neglect, working quietly in the dark for years. So why doesn't every plumber tell you this on day one? Why isn't this printed on a sticker next to every valve in America? Because there's no profit in a valve that works. Emergency plumbing calls, the kind where a homeowner is standing in 2 inches of water at midnight, are some of the most expensive service calls in the entire industry. A frozen shutoff valve almost guarantees that a small leak becomes a full emergency, because there's no way to stop the flow quickly once it starts. The industry isn't hiding some grand conspiracy. It's simply never been in anyone's financial interest to teach homeowners a 5-minute habit that prevents thousands of dollars in emergency repairs down the road. Insurance adjusters see this pattern constantly, case after case, city after city. Independent surveys of water damage claims consistently point to the same root cause. Not the initial leak, but the failed shutoff valve that couldn't be closed in time. The story repeats itself with almost eerie consistency. A slow drip becomes a flood, not because the pipe was unusually bad, but because nobody could turn off the water fast enough when it mattered. So here's what you actually do. And I want you to picture doing this today, not someday, not next weekend. Step 1. Locate every shutoff valve in your home, under each sink, behind the toilet, at the washing machine hookup, at the water heater, and at the main line where water enters your house. Most homes have somewhere between 6 and 12 of these valves, and most homeowners can only name 1 or 2. Step 2. With the water still running normally, gently turn each valve a quarter turn closed, then back open. Not fully shut, just enough to break the mineral seal before it fully hardens into place. You'll feel resistance the first time you try this. That resistance is the danger sign you've been missing for years. Step 3. If a valve feels stuck or makes a grinding sound, do not force it. This is where people cause the exact disaster they were trying to prevent, snapping the stem clean off and turning a dry valve into an open pipe. Instead, apply a penetrating lubricant made for plumbing, wait 10 minutes, then try again with gentle, steady pressure. Never a sudden yank or twist. Step 4. Once the valve turns freely, do this exercise every 3 to 4 months. Mark it on your phone calendar right now while you're thinking about it. It takes less than 60 seconds per valve, and it could save you thousands. Step 5. If a valve won't budge even after lubrication and patience, that's your sign to replace it before an emergency forces the decision for you at the worst possible moment. A modern quarter-turn ball valve costs a fraction of what a single flooded floor will cost in repairs, cabinetry, and lost time. That's it. That's the entire trick. No demolition, no specialist required. Just a wrench, a little lubricant, and a habit most people were simply never taught. And this is exactly the kind of overlooked truth we dig up here on Quick Secret. The small, quiet fixes hiding behind the expensive emergencies everyone else pays for year after year without ever understanding why. Now, let's be honest about where this trick has limits, because I'm not here to oversell you or promise something it can't deliver. This method works best on standard compression and gate valves, the kind found in most homes built before the 2000s. If your home already has modern quarter-turn ball valves installed, they're far more resistant to seizing, though they still benefit from being exercised occasionally to stay smooth. And if a valve has been frozen for a decade or more, sometimes penetrating oil isn't enough. Some valves are simply too far gone, corroded beyond saving, and replacement is the only real solution at that point. This isn't a magic cure for every plumbing problem in your house. It's a maintenance habit that prevents one very specific, very common disaster. Nothing more, nothing less. But that one disaster happens to be responsible for an outsized share of the worst water damage stories homeowners tell their friends and neighbors. Now here's the story that changed how one family saw their entire house. A homeowner noticed a small drip under the kitchen sink late one evening. Nothing dramatic, just a slow, steady drop every few seconds. Easy to ignore, easy to put off until the weekend. In most households, this is the moment panic sets in later, because the natural instinct is to run for the shutoff valve when things get worse. And in most households, that valve hasn't been touched in years, waiting silently to fail at the worst possible time. But this family had done something different 3 months earlier. They'd learned this exact trick. They'd exercised every valve in the house, quarter turn by quarter turn, marking their calendars to repeat it every season without fail. So when the drip appeared, they didn't panic. They reached under the sink, turned the valve they'd already tested and maintained, and the water stopped in seconds. No emergency call at midnight, no flooded cabinet, no warped flooring. No $4,000 bill landing in their mailbox weeks later. The next morning, a plumber came to fix the actual leak. A simple worn washer, a 15-minute job, nothing complicated. But without a working shutoff valve, that 15-minute fix could have turned into a full kitchen renovation, months of drying out cabinets, and a fight with their insurance company. The difference between a minor inconvenience and a household disaster wasn't luck. It was one small habit, repeated a few times a year, sitting quietly in the background until the exact moment it was needed. That's the part almost nobody tells you. The real danger was never the leak itself. It was the frozen valve that couldn't stop it in time when it mattered most. You were never taught this in school. No one handed you a manual when you bought your home. This knowledge quietly disappeared somewhere between ancient engineers who understood moving water and mechanisms, and modern convenience that made us forget the systems hiding behind our own walls. But now you know. And knowing this puts you ahead of almost every homeowner on your street. The ones who will only discover this trick the hard way. Standing in water at midnight, wondering why nothing turns, wondering why no one ever told them. This is Quick Secret. And if there's one thing we believe in, it's this. The most powerful fixes are usually the quietest ones, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look, someone willing to spend 5 minutes today to avoid a disaster tomorrow. If this opened your eyes to something in your own home, tell me in the comments. Have you ever tried turning your shutoff valve, and did it move freely, or did it fight you the way it fights so many others? I want to hear your story, and I want other homeowners watching this to hear it too. And if you want to keep discovering the hidden systems hiding inside your everyday life, subscribe to Quick Secret, because next time we're uncovering another overlooked trick, one that could save you even more than this one did, hiding in plain sight, just like this one was.